Leading through uncertainty, how to build steady teams. You might be wondering, with all the chaos going around, how do I focus my employees to what's most important? You might be wondering, how do I insulate my employees from all the chaos that's going on in the world so that they focus on making my customers' day? And finally, you might be thinking, with all this disruption we're hearing about, what should I pay attention to in my retail store? That's what I'm going to share with you today. In this video, you're going to learn why your managers may not be as effective as you think they could be, why your associates are crippling you because they're not really listening, and more importantly, why notifications are really the enemy of retail. Now let's get to it. Your employees are bombarded with notifications every day, and not from customers, from their own phones. Right? It's like, oh, there might be another jackpot waiting for me. Ding! And you know, the average person takes 20 minutes to recover from a notification, right? So if I'm deep in thought, I'm with a customer, ding! I've broken that, and I have to remember back what I was doing. But more importantly, that customer now felt like, yeah, you're not important. And that's really a shame, because I think so many employees take customers for granted because there's a lot of chaos going on and they're doing the best they can. Nobody wants to do a bad job. That's really important. You hear in all my videos, which, by the way, all my videos, you can hit subscribe up there, and I have a special offer for you down below which you can look at later. But there's so much chaos that we don't know where we're supposed to focus. Great example, I was in Newport Beach not that long ago, and I'm in line. There's like 4 people ahead of us, and the barista is at the very front. She's taking orders, and she pauses before this guy. She takes this guy's order, and she just leans over, and she sees this guy behind me, and she goes, "Hey, Hal, do you want the usual?" And Hal yells back, "Yeah, but this time without sugar." She's like, "No problem." And then she comes back to the order and takes the order. All right, so I'm mildly upset at this. So I get in, queue up, and I get up to the front line, and she goes, "Can I help you with something?" I was like, "I want a drink," So I say, "Yeah, I want your largest black iced tea, no water, easy ice." And she goes, "Okay, so you want a hot tea and what else?" And I was like, "Oh wait, am I being punked?" And she goes, "What?" I go, "That's nothing like what I just said." "Oh, sorry. Sorry doesn't cut it." I remember this now from months ago in Newport Beach at that Starbucks. Is that what you want? No, because chaos gets our mind going a little bit of everything. And focus is what's happening. And why is she allowed to do that? Because nobody saw what I saw. That's what a manager's job is to look and say, yeah, what was going on there? When you're at the register, you don't ever do that because it made everybody else feel bad. But more importantly, look what it did to your memory. You didn't process it right. Do we say, "Can I help you?" No, we're supposed to say, "What can I get started for you?" Yeah, exactly. So if you want to correct that, understand that the only way employees feel comfortable is they have a confident leader. Confident leader who knows the rules and says, "This is the guardrails," and they help them always achieve better. That's it in a nutshell. If you didn't watch anything else, what I'm saying today, it's about grounding it in reality and saying a great team has a great leader who is focused on noticing everything, especially in a coffee house. They know who's been waiting too long for the drink, they know where the machines are doing, they understand their average order, and their goal is to add on, and they're always looking at how do we be better. That's the key to all of it. The other thing I would have taught that young woman is always repeat back what you heard. So even if she missed it, instead of with certainty saying that, she goes, "I think I heard you say hot tea. Did I get it right?" Because she knew she didn't have it right, and being confident in it being wrong made it worse, right? And I could have said like, "Yeah, no, it's an iced tea." And then she should have to try to remember the easy ice, easy water, and don't help her. The more we give into the chaos, I think the more chaos we allow to be in our stores, and that's not good. And with turnover the way it is these days, I think you have to understand what managers have to expect when they go into new stores. We typically have managers, at least in my experience, we have retail managers come in 2 ways. "I'm a bear, I'm an evil, I'm gonna fire you all, you're awful." By the way, that's pretty much the way I've done business makeovers, and it works really well for me. I don't advocate that for a lot of people, but for me, I can pull that off, all right? And then the other side is, "I'm your buddy, we're just friends. I want to know, oh, and your baby, oh, that's wonderful. Oh, you're gonna be studying to be an archaeologist. Oh, that's so fun. I loved archaeology, right? Oh, great." There's a mix in the two, because here's the thing. You want to be friendly, right? I want to be able to say some things that are, personal goals and helping them evolve, absolutely. I don't need the drama. My husband locked me out of my car last night and I couldn't sleep in it and whatever other nonsense. My girlfriend took all the money out. I don't want all those stories because it makes them easier to call out on me. You know my story. If you're a decent person, you'll just do it. But what that usually comes by is you're trying to be everybody's friend. And I always say, you can't be everybody's friend on Friday night at the bar and then be the manager on Monday morning. It just doesn't work. There's got to be a barrier, there's got to be a boundary, and they've got to know what that is. And you have to stress it, because dysfunctional teams start with a manager who is not a good leader, who doesn't practice great leadership skills, and more importantly, gets so wrapped up in the stories of each employee that they make excuses for why they aren't doing their job. Oh, that didn't sound very nice, Bob. I know. I've been there, dude. Like, trust me. I've managed a lot of stores. I've gone through and I've had to have conversations with a lot of people. And a lot of times you have to end up saying, this isn't a fit for you. And that's okay. Doesn't mean they're a bad person. But if you want to make more strength in your crew, especially with the nonsense going on all around us every day, turn off the notifications on you and on your crew. Make sure that they understand what success looks like. Make them listen to what the customer said, and more importantly, make them repeat it back and understand you can be their friend, but only so far. I have two stories I want to share with you, both from the same retailer, because it does come down to a steady team. Now, I was up in Toronto, and I discovered Harry Rosen. It's the #1 menswear brand in Canada. Very high-end, every brand you can think of, amazing. They don't have this shirt yet, but they probably would at some point. At the end of the day, they did something that was truly remarkable. I was in their mall store, and I looked at a Robert Graham shirt, which is very similar to this, and as one of my jaded other men's store owners says, oh, those are, I just got a divorce shirt because your wife would never let you wear that. It's like, thanks very much for that. Anyway, I'd never seen one of those shirts before. And I'm looking at it, and this young woman comes up, she goes, you could pull that off. Like, really? And she goes, yeah. And I ended up having a great time with her, and she goes, you really need a jacket for that because you don't always want to have such a bright shirt. I was like, oh, okay, got the jacket. And then she said, well, and those slacks they don't really fit you that well. You can wear slimmer pants, man. You're not an old guy. Oh, great. So I got 2 jackets, I got 3 shirts, and 2 pairs of pants. I felt invincible. And I'm like, Harry Rosen is my kind of guy, right? Then I go to I'm walking around and I see they have a flagship store, and I go in there and I met a young guy, Randy, and he did a great job too. And so I got another couple of shirts and a jacket. And he said at the end, like I say in some of their videos, could I have done anything better? Because he saw my retail doctor card when I pulled it out. And I said, well, as a matter of fact, you could. You never asked me anything to learn about who I was. And so I know all these things about you, but your opportunity to learn from me is gone. He's like, wow, that's really a gift. Was wonderful, still loved it, great time, loved the brand. Well, a month ago, I was in Toronto, and I took a 45-minute Uber to get down to the flagship because I wanted to feel invincible. That's why people shop. I want to feel more confident, I want to feel better myself. And I was doing a keynote in Shanghai, China, and I'm like, I want to look as amazing as I think I'm going to be. I'm going to go to this store. I don't care how much it costs. I'm going to come out feeling amazing again, like the mall, like Randy, right? Same store as Randy. So I walk in, and they had someone right at the door, and he says, good morning. And I was like, good morning. And I was like, check, because the browsing brain said, now you can move on. I'm going to talk about that in another video. By the way, you can subscribe up here, and down below, I'll have some more information as a related video. But I walked through the store, and now I was in the browsing brain, and I'm picking things up, and I remember looking at a cranberry shirt, and I'm like, could I pull off cranberry? It's like, I don't know. Cranberry's kind of a wintry color. And I'm taking pictures of how great they merchandise. The store is amazingly merchandised. Like, every outfit is perfect. You want to be that guy, it doesn't matter. 3 stories, amazing. And I get down to the bottom, and I'm thinking, like, this kind of looks like a travel outfit. I think I could do this. I pull it off, I'm trying it on. No one has said a word to me, by the way, in 15 minutes. I pull on this jacket, it's $1,500. Kind of cool. It has a zipper to it, and I'm trying it on in front of the mirror. And I'm looking down because I'm like, what am I going to wear with it? And they had this green turtleneck, and the green looked pretty cool, like an Irish green. I'm like, oh, I could do that. And as I looked down, I said, you are shopping alone. What the hell is going on here? And I took off that jacket, I threw it on the counter, and I marched upstairs, and I was about to go out, and I said, no. And I walked up and I said, who's your manager? And they go, oh, he's right here. And they go and they get him. And I told him what happened. He goes, oh, I guess you caught us with our pants down. I go, not good enough, pal. I just took a 45-minute Uber to get here to be in your store to feel wonderful. And now I'm walking off pissed. And he goes, well, we all have bad days. And I was like, oh, so that wasn't the right thing to say to the retail doc. So I walk out the front doors, and I open my video, and I made a live video. 3 days later, after it's blown up now, 250,000 on Instagram and other places, the CEO responds, this isn't what we expect. Our brand was built on customer service. Bob's 100% right. I looked at the videos That's exactly what happened. I've not only talked to that crew, we're reinstating a whole training program. His story, that video, will now be part of our ongoing training. That's what leadership takes, is to say, that's the mark, we missed it, tell the world, over and done, and let's do it. And I bet they're going to have the greatest holiday ever. But here's the thing. How didn't that manager see what I saw? There were 4 employees that walked past me. In fact, I thought he was another customer because he was so well dressed. Oh, I want to look like that guy. That was the manager. Oh, caught us with our pants down like we get a pass. Like, no, you don't. And that's my last point as we're talking about building a successful team. You had one shot to do great. That young woman did a great job with me almost a decade ago. So did Randy. Didn't know who I was, but that's another story. Failed miserably. And I don't think I'm entitled. I'm just the voice of the customer. And so I want you to be thinking about the leadership that should have happened in that role. The manager should have seen what was going on. He could have walked up. He could have saved that sale. He could have actually just said, wow, I am so embarrassed. Let me walk you back through the store. I want to show you some of our newest items because a guy like you obviously has, a great sense of style, or flatter me, right? Like Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. Big mistake, right? You could have found a way to save the sale if that was what you were supposed to do. That's what we're talking about. Developing your managers is part of what we've got in my SalesRx online sales training program, and that's really important, and you find out more about that in the associated videos. But if you've got sales over $1 million, you can do a strategy call with me to find out how I can work with you, or more importantly, get clear on how your managers need to elevate their performance. And there's an offer down there, you can do that as well. And if you don't have sales of over $1 million, well, you know what? I have an awful lot of learning that you can take advantage of, or my 3 books. But make no mistake, the only one who gets ahead is you if you put in the time, put in the direction, and decide, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doc, out.